panelists here to kind of give me their kind of like 5-minute spiel of like what the day in the life of the connected consumer is going to be, particularly to their industries. In this case being the fashion and beauty industry, the food, cooking, kitchen industry, and in Citi's case, the big role of finance. But Andreas, why don't we start with you? So today and several years in the future, how is the world of mobile, the Internet of Things, big data, all these things, the cloud coming together to affect like how we interact with the finance industry, with Citi in particular?
Today, you have all these accounts, right? You have your checking account, maybe you have savings accounts, you have between 3 and 4 credit cards, maybe a mortgage, home equity line of credit, brokerage. You have all of these accounts, and they're difficult to manage. Imagine if we could weave them all together seamlessly in a way that makes them sort of disappear into something that you wear around you, like call it a cloak of value. And wherever you go, maybe this resides on your phone, on your smartwatch, wherever you go, that goes around you. And this cloak of value does 2 different things. One is it stands for, it represents your ability to purchase goods, services, your ability to pay. But secondly, it also marks you as a target for commercial offers, for things that will be true value to you as a consumer. Your preferences, your purchase history, your privacy preference allows that. And so it begins to work in both ways. One, outbound, where you can pay. The other one, where you can get offers and things that are relevant to you. You're now in a store, and you see the things that are for sale, and maybe those things advertise themselves to you in a different way than they would to him or to you, because I'm a different consumer, I have a different track record, I have different preferences that are known, and so maybe one brand is trying to make me drop my loyalty to their competitor. There are lots of interactions that open up. When I'm done shopping, I no longer need to go stand in line at the register. I can just basically bag my stuff and walk out because I am a known payer. And that interaction of having to swipe plastic or even tap a phone with an NFC, all that stuff goes away because it's no longer necessary. So that cloak of value becomes like your interface to the world. It's how you interact commercially with everything and everyone. And at the same time, it makes it seamless and transparent, and you no longer have to do the routine things that you do today just because they've been inherited from the way all these accounts were built decades or centuries ago. All that stuff becomes seamless and invisible, and this cloak of value also removes false choice. Think about it. Today, when you go pay for something at checkout, which credit card or debit card do you take out of your wallet? It could be the one you're most used to, the one that's your top of wallet. It may be the one on which you're trying to build the rewards to pay for a holiday or whatever, but the reality is that as a consumer, you don't really know what the relative values of those are because there are so many variables that you can't compute in real time. This is something your cloak of value could compute for you, which is the card that if you use it for this purchase here today, will give you the most value, except you don't even have to think about it. Right? So when you think about these accounts today, money is a proxy for value. But if we can come up with that cloak of value, it could make the money, the symbol, recede into invisibility and really surface value for you as a customer, value that you're not seeing today because you're focusing on money, not on value. It's a hectic day.
Well, it almost seems you're even abstracting the idea of currency even beyond the abstraction of what is currency.
Right.
Pure value. But anyway, Dave, why don't we move on to you? Dave is, known Dave, I guess, for about a year or so now. He's the CEO of Yumly, which stands for Chief Eating Officer of the company. And so it's obviously a company, a lot of people might know Yumly as a search engine for recipes, but as I'm sure Dave will tell you, they've actually doing a lot of work on about big data, about categorizing food itself. So he's going to tell us a little bit about what the life of the consumer in the kitchen is going to be like.
Yeah. So Kevin gave us the task of doing the day in the life of a connected consumer in the kitchen. And so I actually wrote a little story, but you know, I want this to be a little bit more realistic than some of the videos that maybe you've seen in the past of like a 50s or 60s kind of kitchen that has infinite inventory and, you know, bakes you a cake while you're gone. So just kind of assume that devices and appliances and your pantry and food can all talk to each other. And so this is how I imagine a day going in the connected kitchen in the future, not too distant future. So a device knows that I'm awake. You know, it could be my Fitbit that I'm wearing, it could be my phone, and it lets my coffee maker know, and my coffee starts brewing. As I'm sitting there over the aroma of my coffee brewing, I'm reviewing my day, and my calendar app reminds me that I have dinner plans that night. I'm going to be cooking for my family, plus Jack and Jordan, who are coming over. And I know that Jack is allergic to peanuts, and I know that Jordan, you know, was recently sick. I'm going to spend a little bit extra time to make dinner that night. I plan starting at about 5:30 and finishing at 6:30. And this kitchen platform is aware of all of this. So it's kind of the software that brings the entire kitchen together. And that's a shameless plug for Youngleys. What we're trying to do is build the digital kitchen platform. But the kitchen platform knows all of these things. It knows the taste preferences of the individuals, the concept of the family's taste, the people that are coming over. It's aware of what we have on stock, what we've recently purchased, what's running low, what's about to expire, what we should use. Maybe chicken's been in the freezer for a little bit too long. It knows all about recipes, ingredients, how they relate to each other, flavor combinations. It knows nutrition, substitutes and shortcuts. So how can I, you know, make something faster by using a jar of something? Geography, skill, the weather and how that relates to what I normally eat, what I've eaten recently, my budget, and you know how I'm doing on my trajectory for food spend, my health and physician data, and probably a lot of other things that I didn't mention. And all of this is connected into the platform. And so, as I'm reviewing this, my calendar, my kitchen platform actually recommends a recipe for me. This recipe is not a recipe that's on the web. It's actually created for me. It's customized to my tastes, to all of these different aspects. In this case, maybe it's recommending chicken parmesan with pasta and a salad, and I say that's fine. It creates this because it knows that we haven't eaten Italian food in the last 2 weeks, and family likes Italian food, that it's cold and rainy, and we generally steer towards comfort food on a day like today. It's within our skill and budget. We have chicken in the freezer that we should use up. And it actually uses Romano cheese instead of Parmesan cheese, because we bought that recently and it's a suitable substitute for Parmesan, but it's all optimized for me and my family and the experience that I'm going through. And then since this recipe is created, then it's automatically passed to a service like Instacart. It's not, the order is in place yet, but it's just queued up for delivery because there's a number of things that might change throughout the day. So it's also, the kitchen platform also notifies Instacart or whoever it is that something's been recalled, and we leave that outside so that the delivery service can pick that up as well, because we don't want that on our shelves anymore. Some other things that we're running low on are added to the list, and we confirm it all with one click. So then back to kind of breakfast real quickly. We know that the milk is running low; it's about to expire. So we decide that we're going to have cereal and fruit. I decide to add toast in for my breakfast. So then my meal plan is actually dynamically updated. What it does is it reduces the amount of pasta that I'm going to have that night, and it increases the salad portion. And I leave for work, and I forget whether or not my coffee machine was still on. I check my phone. I confirm that the appliance is off, and I feel good, and I'm on with my day. And maybe after lunch, I find out that I have another meeting that was added, and I'm not going to be able to make the tomato sauce that I wanted from scratch. So the kitchen platform automatically updates my recipe and says, okay, you can use a jar of sauce instead of making that tomato sauce. And it picks ragu for me because it's on sale, and it knows that I'm going to be able to save a little bit of money there. And that queues out all that up for delivery, and then the order's placed at about 4 o'clock and arrives at 5 o'clock. And I leave my office. As I'm leaving my office, the kitchen platform is aware that I'm leaving, and it queues everything up for me. You know, the chicken's thawed, the oven's heated up, my playlist of music that I want when I'm cooking is put on, and my recipe tablet is set up in a step-by-step format, and I have a very nice and enjoyable meal, and my kids probably still clean up afterwards.
Pretty much just everything except the actual cooking itself.
Except the cooking itself, which is something people still enjoy.
I can relate to that. All right, and next, Bridget is going to talk a little bit about how actually the Internet of Things is alive and well in Sephora today in your stores. And she has, I guess, a couple of pictures and to talk about this kind of connected feature that we're already starting to see.
Yeah. I think I'm inspired to cook now. If I can really do all that, then I should be able to figure it out, right? So at Sephora, we're doing a lot with the connected consumer. What we have found is that our clients are very connected. We have a lot of women who are considered millennials or of the younger generations, as well as just women of all ages. And they tend to be very organized and very task-driven. They have a lot to do. And so, my day in the life of a Sephora consumer is that she has added, which my props are in with here. She has added her Beauty Insider card, which is our loyalty card, to Passbook. And we have, over 3 million of our Sephora clients have done this. They have our app and they've added their Sephora card to Passbook. And so her wallet's too small to have all the cards that she needs. So she has her Beauty Insider card and her gift card. She's actually has them in her app, and then she's also added them to Passbook. What's so great about that is that when she's in the mall and she's walking by a Sephora store, it actually is going to pop up. It knows she's nearby. This happens today. And we can actually tell her that right now we've just launched a whole new service in our stores, a whole new experience, which will help her find the right foundation for her. So she comes into our store because Passbook's like a magnet and your phone is pulling you into the store, because who wouldn't? And there, lo and behold, we actually have our scanning device. And we have actually worked with Pantone, who's the color authority, to create this tool that scans a woman's skin, or anyone's skin, in 3 places, averages the scan of 27 different photos of your skin tone, and it will find the exact right shade of foundation for you. And so we have 112 different shades, and what we call it is My Color IQ. So our client will get her Color IQ, and then we move over to the iPad, and we put her Color IQ number in, and then she actually can choose based on the parameters that she's interested in. So maybe she likes powder instead of liquid foundation. Perhaps she wants it to have an SPF, or she wants it paraben-free. She puts all of her criteria, working with a sales associate, into the iPad, and it pulls out the exact right match products for her, customized to her skin tone and her interests and what she cares about. And she tries it on, and that's now the right product for her. But she just went through this experience, and it actually is going to keep giving because she can enter it and save it in her iPhone app or on her mobile device, or she can email it to herself on the iPad app with the products that were recommended to her if she doesn't want to buy all of them today or she wants to come back to it. But you can start to imagine that we can now target her an email with the new products that launch that fit her Color IQ. And we don't just have Color IQ information from her. We have to see, we know her gender, which mostly is female. We know her eye color and hair color, her skin tone and skin type, and her skincare concerns. If she has acne, if she's worried about wrinkles. We know all this because we asked her. And she told us this because it's valuable to her to get recommendations that are relevant. So, I'm on a panel with some lovely gentlemen, and they asked me earlier, all these ways that you could avoid going into a Sephora store, or you could avoid this, the painful trip of buying makeup. And I was like, oh honeys, women love shopping for makeup. It's a journey. And
we all asked the exact question.
They did believe it. So, women love shopping for beauty. We are not trying to take away something that's miserable and awful. We are trying to make her enjoy it even more, and we are trying to take away the barriers that make it difficult. So when you walk into a Sephora store, if you wanted to see every red lipstick, that would be a challenge. In fact, I would give anyone that challenge. It might take you an hour to find every red lipstick in our stores. But if you use your app, you can actually just sort by red lipsticks in the app, and now you have that information at your fingertips. You can see all the ratings and reviews. You can actually pick up any product and scan it and get ratings and reviews right there. So all the power of having connected information on our website, where we have over 2 million reviews because our clients love talking about makeup, and they love telling each other, even though a product has 20,000 reviews, they have to add that next review because they love it so much. All that information is encapsulated, and you can bring it into the store experience with you. We also have digital screens that help you narrow down and shop. But we're not just adding technology for technology's sake. All of this is around making her journey more fun, making it easier to shop, and moving away the barriers like finding the right foundation, which is difficult to do in person and impossible to do online, having all that information readily accessible. But we don't stop there. Of course, then she's going to take a selfie and post it on Instagram and put the hashtag MyColorIQ with her IQ number. And then people can go on Instagram or on Facebook or Twitter and look at all the different women who have posted their color IQ and get inspired by their looks and the products that they're trying. And women can actually connect with each other. You know, you can look on Amazon to see what other people are buying that bought the same product that you're buying. But this is a way to do it with personality and with interest, because I might look at someone who's a bit of a goth look, and she might have the exact same hair color, eye color, and skin tone, but she's wearing black lipstick. That might not be what I'm going for. So it's good for us to add that context and add that personality. And I think that's how women want to connect. They want to use their devices to connect together.
Is there any advantage to having a higher color IQ than someone else?
No,
Okay,
there is not.
You can't brag about it. Okay. Well, one of the things I did want to discuss is that you talked about industries here that are very specific about what they do, but they're certainly not isolated. Anything involving Sephora is a transaction finance. And you gave several examples, Dave, about not where the Internet of Things and the data that you're collecting is not only reaching outside the kitchen, but to the grocery store, to delivery services, even to your doctor and health. Can you talk a little bit about how your industries overlap and how all of this information, all of these services you're enabling depend upon working outside of your industry to do, and how you accomplish that? David, you want to start with that?
Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit, which beforehand. A lot of it depends on just making sure that there's standards and the ability for things to talk to each other. That is one of the biggest, one of the things that we need to solve is my toaster needs to be able to talk to my iPhone, and my iPhone needs to be able to talk to my bank or talk to Sephora. And one of the risks that we run into, I think, of all of this vision happening is proprietary systems and networks that wouldn't foster kind of this open connection. And I think that's really one of the most important pieces that we need, kind of going forward when we're talking about, each of us are trying to innovate in our respective areas, but we're all talking about ways that we can communicate with each other, and that communication needs to be able to happen in some sort of, structured and open way.
Yeah. But the possibilities of Bridget, it's actually a shame. Dr. Leslie Saxon was supposed to be on this panel, but she had an emergency, wasn't able to make it. It's too bad, but she was going to talk a little bit about, even the crossover between the health industry and in the medical industry, that maybe one day that your doctor will be able to prescribe a diet for you. That it just said, instead of just saying, cut out sodium in your diet, literally send commands to your connected kitchen that would surface recipes that would prevent you from eating salt. So, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, I think the point you were making now is something that seems to be emerging already as a theme this morning. We've only been going a few hours, but I've heard this repeatedly, that if everyone tries to install a proprietary standard to be the only ones playing or to own the balls of the game, it's not going to get to the scale that you need for things to really interoperate. And the whole idea of an Internet of Things is for seamless, transparent interaction, and that seems very difficult to reconcile with proprietary standards, right? So in order for payments to work seamlessly at the store, or the total value that I was mentioning, or replenishing your pantry and things like that, it has to be based on some agnostic, neutral type of interaction that is not dictated by any particular player, or it can't work.
Andres, I'm curious, you're talking about that even though you're adding these technological capabilities, the idea is not to get people out of the store or prevent them from coming in, it's to enhance the experience. How about conversely in the banking industry? I mean, for a long time, I mean, mobile banking, online banking has, like, you know, kind of obviated the need for people to do direct transactions with a bank teller. I mean, as you kind of abstract that further and create this, the cloak of value, right? I mean, does the need for the branch bank go away? I've actually been surprised that there seems to be more Citi branches in my neighborhood now than there were like 10 years ago, even though I rarely ever go into one or have no need to go into one. I mean, what happens to the physical banker relationship?
So I think that evolves along with everything else. We were talking backstage about how practical and convenient it is not to have to go into the branch to deposit a check, to be able to take a picture of it with your app and not have to go anywhere near a branch. For most people, going to a branch is not, it's not like shopping for makeup, right? It's not something that will give you pleasure. And for the bank, it's not something that gives you great ROI if you don't focus it extremely well, because it can be your most expensive service channel. And then if you have too much distribution, too many branches, even too spread out, too present, it becomes unsustainable. The value of each branch needs to be sharply focused on perhaps acquisition, and then that would be one industry where showrooming is actually encouraged, because it's a great place to one-on-one onboard you on digital services and show you how you can actually avoid having to come back. Could be a different conversation for a small business entrepreneur who is looking to get a loan for a project, being able to convey their passion and their intelligence and by proxy the probability of their project succeeding or not is something that may still require face-to-face interaction, but those are high-value interactions that do justify having physical presence and stuff and everything. I think if you were building a big bank for nothing today, you probably wouldn't want to make it branchless, because these interactions have high value if they are well focused.
Bridget, so a lot of companies collect data about their customers, but it seems like you're collecting very, very specific data. You're collecting information, information about their physical characteristics, not just demographic data. What is the logical conclusion of all that? Like, what can you virtualize the, like the physical characteristics of your customers, and what can you eventually do with all that information?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, like I said, women want to have an accurate recommendation given to them. And I think ultimately, as you virtualize all that information and as you showcase, perhaps, you could show what makeup would look like on them without them having to physically put it on, right? So there are virtual makeover technologies. Typically, they tend to make you look a bit more like a clown, because you put all the makeup on at the same time and it's too much, and it's like, and so
like the makeup gun technology.
Yes, exactly. But I think there are probably in the future ways that could make that even better. But I think the idea of maybe someday there's smaller stores, or a way to expand even. So Sephora is in 700 different locations in the U.S., but we could have double that if they were smaller but really focused and allowed you to try on some subset, and then the rest was virtual, right? So it would be a way to expand even physical presence, or a way to bring make the internet work even harder for you. So I do think that's possible.
But I mean, what I'm hearing for you, the bottom line is all these technologies are being used to enhance the in-store experience as opposed to replace it, which seems to be the opposite direction that some industries are heading.
It's true. But we also are, a lot of this technology is around just wherever she wants to consume an experience. And so we spend a lot of time on our app and our mobile site, because we have a lot of clients who just transact there. They want to buy, or they want to get inspired, or they want to watch a video, or whatever they want to do. But Sephora is a retailer, and we do sell products, and that's primarily how we pay the bills. But we're also a place to learn, and we really do want our client to gain that confidence. And so we have a lot of content, and we're building all that content using technology and mobile devices as a way to bring it to where she needs it. So as you get to wearables, and I get to pick up my Google Glass tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. But you can imagine that I'm doing a smoky eye, which PS is kind of hard. And so I'm looking in the mirror, and I can project it on and then just follow the lines. There's just a lot of ways that I think technology will help you if not just in the store. That'll help you at home, help you to learn, and then I think will actually help the online or mobile experience be that much more enjoyable, to be a fun online journey as well.
Great. So we have a couple of minutes left. Did anyone have any questions, or anyone have any ideas? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, there's a microphone over there.
We live in a pretty unique bubble here, especially with a crowd like this, where people are willing to adopt new ways of doing mundane tasks like cooking or turning on a light or shopping in the shopping mall. And what are all of you doing to engage your casual consumers, people that might not go to Sephora every day, or want to manage 10 credit cards in a wallet, or connect to 20 different services to Big Red Chicken? And so how are you facing the challenges of keeping your businesses and apps and services simple enough so that my mom would use it rather than just opening the cookbook or walking down to the supermarket to buy her makeup?
I think it's easy for my industry insofar as there are a few things that really do make your life a lot easier. If instead of having to spend minutes dialing numbers to figure out what your credit card balance is, when your minimum payment is due, if you can just flick on the app and see it there, or if instead of having to trudge all the way to the branch and say, well, to deposit a check, if you can do it while having coffee at home, those things bring out the value of the digital proposition immediately, and they should be designed in very simple ways so that they are available not just to people who have a particular interest, but of course the general public.
I'm curious, how quick has the adoption of mobile banking been compared to, say, like the adoption of ATM banking, 15 years ago or something like that, or 20 years ago?
I would compare it to online adoption, which is closer and maybe more comparable. A dozen years ago or so in the bulk, and it's actually a lot faster. So it's like the entire audience trained itself on the concept of virtualization and abstraction by going online, and now, although the touch point is different, that extra step to mobile is actually just another further abstraction, but in the same direction, and it's growing a lot faster than online ever grew at the beginning.
Actually, I wanted to get your opinions on it, but we actually have run out of time, so I apologize. But thank you. Please join me in thanking my panelists. And thank you.
All right.